Welcome to the very first Thrive Show Live. My name is Kim O'Neill, and I am so excited to be here with you because I love bringing inspirational guests, inspirational content and topics, and sharing them with you and engaging with you in this kind of a format. So before I bring on today's guest, I want to say a quick hello to everyone who's with us today, whether you are live on Facebook or on YouTube. So good to have you here. Please do go ahead and say hello in the comments. Let us know where you are joining us from. Hello, Helene. I see you are with us. Good to see you here. And as always, throughout the conversation, if you have questions that come up, this is a fantastic space. Fantastic, inclusive, loving, caring, safe space to be able to connect and share and engage. And so I welcome and invite you to engage with me and my guest today. The Thrive Show recently launched on Facebook and Instagram, and soon will be featured over on YouTube as well. And today, many of our shows have already been pre-recorded. On a handful of them have already been airing on social media. But today we have a different experience because we are coming to you live. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up today's guest. So good to see you all. Thanks for being here. Today we have with us, welcome, Beth Nelson.
Hello. So thrilled to be here for the Thrive Live show.
Exactly, the Thrive Live show. Oh, Beth. Okay, so I'm really excited because I love what you were about. I love how you connect with people. From the moment that you and I first connected, it meant a lot. And I'm very excited to share you with our audience. So I want to go ahead and just share with everyone a little bit more about who you are. And then I would love for you to, of course, elaborate. And then we're going to get into some questions and go deeper because you do some awesome work here. So for all those just getting to meet Beth Nelson for the very first time, Beth Nelson is a women's midlife mentor. She leads women who are ready to awaken into the fullest version of themselves at midlife and leave a meaningful impact on the world. And I'm going to let her fill in the gaps there because that just doesn't even touch on the bulk of it. So Beth, will you share with everyone a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Again, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. So I am Beth Nelson, midlife mentor and founder of Ignited Women. And midlife women hire me to bring back the passion, purpose, and authenticity in their lives that may have gotten away from them. You know, a lot of midlife women, including myself, when I went through menopause and kind of the midlife transition, I found myself really disengaged and confused about what was next for me because there's not really a set pathway. You know, if you think about it, in your early 20s, you're focused on building a family or deciding what career you're going to want, and into the 30s, you know, the maiden, the mother, and then the later years, especially in our society, it just kind of gets nebulous and we become more invisible. So this movement came out of my own struggles through the midlife transition, and I really wanted to support other women and help them to learn what I did. So
something that really catches me is how you just used the word, and actually I think you used the word society or culture.
Yeah.
And that brings me to thinking, do you believe that midlife women are treated differently in different societies?
I do. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. I've read things like, for example, in China, women induce menopause because they want to be revered as a wise elder. So they're like striving to get through menopause and become a wise elder rather than, I mean, look at our society. It is completely focused on anti-aging, looking young, being shameful of wrinkles or, you know, sagging skin or whatever is going on. And that's what I really want to change, because back in the days when communities were closer knit, the elders were left, you know, by the fires and left to either tend to the grandchildren and impart their wisdom, or even asked by, you know, the leaders in the community how they could support, because the intuition gets so tuned in as we age. And that's a big part of what I do as well. So throwing some little hints out there.
I love that. I love that. And if you are resonating with that, those who are with us, give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up in the comments and let us know that you are resonating with that. Because Beth, you're a badass, and I love that you're here. Let's get into questions. So I want to ask you the first question. Why do women over 50 often feel disengaged in their lives? I think we can get a sense of why based on some of what you've already shared, but tell us a little bit more about that.
I think the main reason is, think about how much of women's lives are spent in the earlier years focusing on the needs of others in front of their own. And what that does is it separates you from what you really want. Because without knowing, with always assuming that your needs just are put to the wayside for a sick child, for a spouse, for a boss, for whatever, for a cause, whatever it is that you do, it pulls it away and makes you believe that you no longer have value. So that's a big way of feeling disengaged. And then, we all had dreams. We all had these fairy tales about what life was going to be. And then we settle into this mediocrity, frankly. And, it's not so bad that we want to do something about it, but yet there's not the motivation to say, I want this and I'm going for it.
Well, and I can see how a woman who's feeling devalued or disengaged in some form would feel that sense of, oh, maybe I haven't fulfilled what I'm here to do, or I'm feeling a sense of mediocrity. And I'm even wondering, to what degree is that true for the woman, right? Because we put really high expectations on ourselves. We know that as women. I haven't talked to, I don't think, a single woman who says otherwise. And then, society has big ideas of who we're supposed to be. And, I really want to make sure that I'm not framing this as women are victims. Right.
Because we are not. We are incredibly powerful. And we have to understand that we've had thousands of years of suppression that is, ingrained in our DNA at a level where it's really hard to overcome that. Yet there's a reason that we're feared, because we have so much power. So it's, really unleashing what's already within you is truly what Ignited Women is about. So it's about igniting the spark within you and unleashing what's your authentic self, your most authentic essence.
I love it. I hear, just because you may have the experience of being over here or experiencing whatever society or other people's thoughts may have led you to believe about yourself, there's something bigger and something more you get to still claim.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so what can bring more meaning and fulfillment in the second half of life for women specifically?
I think specifically it is getting clear on what you want and what you don't want. Learning to set boundaries. This is so huge for women. Oh my gosh, for me included. I just did a little video on my feed about no is a complete sentence.
Yes. Amen. Who resonates with that one right there? No is a complete sentence. I'm right there with you, Beth, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, why we feel this need to explain and justify is something. And another thing, this is just a small example, but makes such a huge difference in my life, is stop with the self-deprecating remarks. No more of this, I'm too old for that. No more of this, I had a senior moment. You got to respect yourself. I know that's not really answering the question that you had posed. But I guess it is.
It is.
Yeah. Because bringing more, when you're respecting yourself and really focusing on self-love, then you approach life differently. And it's this freedom that you have when you're bringing in the wholeness of who you are, instead of just taking, okay, my mom part is over here, my spouse part is over here, and pulling it all in together. and owning it
Yeah.
in a way that commands the respect that you deserve.
I love it. Okay, so I want to acknowledge a couple of awesome comments that we have in the chat. There's so many awesome ones, but a couple are really popping out for me. So Matthew Learning is with us, and he is saying it helps
Awesome.
men in so many ways too when women are ignited.
Such a good point. Oh, such a good point. Thank you, Matthew, for that. Yes, yes, because I know that men really want to make us happy, and they're so confused about why we're not. It's got to be a challenge. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. And I want to acknowledge Roberta has a comment here too. She says, having young children and putting my career on the back burner, I can fully relate to this. Absolutely,
Yeah.
because of that caretaking role, and where does the woman fall in the midst of taking care of those she's here to take care of?
Right, right. And something I wanted, giving a little bit of background is, as we are in the years of, and it's, it's appropriate. Children need rearing. They need their mothers, and, the focus does need to be on them. And as what happens during that time is you create grooves. It's sort of like a deer path where your thought process, your beliefs go down one particular way. Well, I'm not supposed to have that. I should have this. I have expectations. And so you're going down this one path. And the way to break away from that is really stepping back and looking at the belief that caused you to go down that path, and asking yourself, is this really still true for me? Does this still serve me in the way that I needed it to in my earlier years? Most of the time, the answer is going to be no to that. So then it's about daring to leap into the unknown pathway where you may be bushwhacking your way through the jungle to create your own path.
And what I'm hearing there is giving yourself permission, recognizing that you have permission to change your mind, to go, wait, what resonates with me now in this moment? Who am I today? And what is my truth today? Because that's what's going to get to the space of thriving.
Yes. So true. So true. Yeah.
Okay. So Beth, I love the answer you just gave to the last question, because I think it's a really great starting place for a person to be stepping into finding more meaning and fulfillment. Saying no, it's a complete sentence. Connecting back with what are the beliefs that are driving me, and going beyond that, though, what would you say is a way to teach people to break through their resistance? Because maybe they're hearing this and saying, "Yeah, that sounds great, and I don't know how to do that. It's easier to just keep doing things the way I have been."
Yes, yes. And I mean, I think that honestly has been a big challenge for me, is even though there's motivation, there's, that trepidation of, ooh, am I going to give up everything for something that I don't know? And I think the way to break through the resistance is connecting to nature. And I want to explain a little bit more about that. This was my key, and it took me a long time to get there. I went down the path as I started, this journey into supporting midlife women. I really went down the path of divine feminine teachings, and how the patriarchy has affected how women are, etc. And I find, yes, that is so true and such a big part of how we got where we are. Yet what really helped me to break through, and what I teach others, is recognizing that nature is the divine showing up. It's like the way that the divine, it's like putting on, how do I describe this? It's the way the divine puts on a dress so that it can be seen.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah. So, being connected to nature is being connected with that web of life. So when you think about, the cycles in nature, they happen automatically. Well, there's cycles in our lives as well that happen automatically. And you don't see a tree fighting the fact that in the fall, the leaves fall off, because it knows in the spring, there's going to be new growth and new opportunities. And so that's why bringing it back to the connection with nature, and realizing that we're part of something bigger, is the key. And honestly the big part of what I teach, is really encoding back into your divine and unique expression.
I love everything you just said, Beth. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to this myself. That was awesome. And Roberta is right with us. She's saying this conversation is so poignant. Daring to go towards the unknown is wonderful. Amazing things happen outside of our comfort zone. Absolutely. We were just talking about that on my other show earlier this week. And this is very fitting. So much alignment here. And Helene is saying spirit is walking through this show.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Helene. Thank you for recognizing that. There's some times where I think, am I daring am I daring enough to put my wholeness out there and speak of spirit and the divine? But that's part of who I am. And it's part of what has gotten me where I am. And so I appreciate the opportunity to let it shine.
So I so resonate with that because I agree. It takes courage to step out of our comfort zone, to dare to do something different, to dare to speak to something that you don't know what the reaction is going to be. And yet it's your authentic truth. And that, again, speaks to shining your light, speaks to thriving, speaks to being that midlife woman who is ignited in her full power. There's a word coming to mind that I think some people think goes with aging, and I disagree. And so I kind of want to just like cancel it right now by saying it, is that we don't have an expiration date until we're dead. We don't have an expiration date. So I love that you're speaking to empowering midlife women. I want to share a quote that you shared with me, an empowering quote here. Beth shared, when midlife women are fully activated, their power and brilliance heals others and makes the world a kinder, more peaceful place. Beth, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes. This is actually how you and I decided to do this interview. When we were talking last week, I was mentioning that the world needs healing.
Yeah.
It's very apparent that the world needs healing. And here we are, women over 50, and I think women over 65 or people over 65, the fastest growing population in the Western world right now because of baby boomers aging. And several years ago, the Dalai Lama himself said the Western woman is going to save the world. And the reason I believe this is true is look at how much influence we had over our children, over our spouses. We are badass, have been for a really long time. And we've survived so much, taken all of that in and witnessed how the world has shifted, especially through this lens of our deep, innate intuition. How many times over this last year during the COVID crisis have I really felt the collective angst of the world? And I think that when we are unleashed and respected for who we are, we can make those shifts and have the influence that is already there for us. I mean, think of, like the goddesses, Kali or Sophia, or, any example that you think of, they are seen, and rightfully so, as the most powerful because they've lived and survived and are able to see through the filters of the BS, frankly.
And not because they were anointed to be that wise, empowered woman, but because they allowed themselves to be ignited from within.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beth, what would you say is the key to staying engaged and on track for midlife women?
Taking small incremental changes. I know that something that, Cleopatra. I'm sorry. I just had to, that's all I come in. I was like, yes.
I had to share that.
Powerhouse. So taking small incremental actions to keep you moving forward and stopping and evaluating, and also acknowledging the progress, the small changes that are being made. I got distracted by the Cleopatra
I know.
thing. So,
Sorry.
Let me think if there's anything else that I wanted to say on this. So staying on track.
Staying engaged and on track for midlife women.
My mind just went blank because of Cleopatra.
That's okay. How about I share a thought, and then if yours comes back, feel free to jump on in.
Perfect.
And this is actually going back to something else you said earlier about nature evolving, and just being a great resource and space for us to connect to ourselves and to nature and all of that. And one way that I do that during the show, I've shared this a couple of times, is that when you can't be outside but you want to be connected to nature, I have stones. I don't know if Beth, do you have any stones, or do the stones mean anything to you?
Yeah, I've got a whole tray of them sitting right there.
Hello, right there. I love it. And I just wanted to speak to that, is that when there are times when we feel like maybe we are not able to be as connected to nature in some form, in what way can we bring it inside?
Yeah.
And sure, this is a flower, but this is fake. So, anyway, just thought I'd share that.
Yeah. And it's also bringing in the breath.
Yes.
The breath is our life force, our prana. Not only am I a midlife mentor, I'm also a yoga instructor. So the yogic philosophy blends in with the coaching work that I do. And so we do a lot of physical embodiment and moving from the head down into the heart. Because I can't believe it took us this long to figure this out, but there are cells in our heart, neurolights, I think they're called. Don't hold me to that one, but that actually create that they're the same as the brain. So it's true that we have more than just a feeling sense in our heart, that there's actual intelligence that comes only from the heart and that feeds up to the mind, rather than everything being up here in the cerebral and being disembodied. So I think so I'm glad you came back to me, because it really did come back into my body, which is what happened. I moved up into my head, so the thoughts came away. But when I am fully engaged and living in my body, then I can tap into the deeper wisdoms that's not only in my heart, but also in the womb space, our place of creativity, the chakra system. I could go on forever about that, but I'll skip that. So I think the answer is embodying, recognizing each step of progress that you make and acknowledging yourself for that.
Well, and I believe, is that the mind-heart coherence?
Yes.
Piece? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you speak to that, because to me, the inclination for women to get caught up in their head, or possibly even to value this space up here versus this space down here, I think has been very driven by a masculine driven society. And we're in a time now where it's about more alignment. It's about more harmony between the two, not devaluing the mind or the heart or the head, but rather recognizing, oh my goodness, what massive, immense value we have been ignoring from that heart. And what a gift it is, like you just were talking about, how when we drop into it, then it allows us to be more centered and even think more clearly.
Yeah. And then, there's the other deeper sense. When you think about the womb space, I mean, that's where creation begins. That's where, we have the unique ability to create life in that womb space. And we're also creating thought patterns and realities from that space of creativity. And so if you're living up here in your head and not giving yourself the opportunity to really ground into the body, then you could be missing out on opportunities of creativity that are bubbling up from, from the connection with nature. I mean, there's so many times that I'm looking out the window right now and seeing the trees rustling around, and there's sometimes, images or thoughts that kind of travel through those branches that I know are sending me a message. So.
Absolutely. And Betty is saying, thank you for sharing the midlife wisdom. And
so welcome, Betty.
Uh, yes, yes, yes. So, Beth, one more question for you. How can the wisdom of women over 50 play a bigger part in healing the world?
I think it is each woman claiming her boldness. And I don't mean you have to be bold and brash and loud. It's claiming your authentic gifts. We're all unique and we all are given, different gifts in the world. And by us suppressing them, we're denying the opportunity for others to experience that and to create the healing that we're meant to create. So it's taking that step forward, even when there's fear. What is it? What's the phrase? Either what is it? Driven by fear, or
What you resist persists, or
yeah, kind of along that
false
line.
events appearing real, or something along those.
Yeah, there's so many that. Well, of course it's dropping out of my mind. It's are you being pushed by the
Oh,
power or pulled by the fear?
okay. Yes, I've
So
heard
either
something like
the,
that.
or maybe it's the other way around, pushed by the fear and pulled by the power. I think that makes more sense.
Okay.
So are you pulling yourself in and recognizing, because each time when I stop throughout the day and I take a deep breath and I lift my heart up and I, consciously have a coherence between my mind and my heart, I feel unstoppable. And I think that's the key.
Is there, for a woman who's in the space of learning how to have more of that mind heart coherence and thrive and be more of who they are, do you recommend they take time to do that? A certain amount of, I don't know, 3 times throughout the day, or anything like that, or?
Absolutely. And it's a very simple, it'll take me probably 2 minutes to describe it, if that's okay.
I would love that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we can sort of experience it. So it starts essentially with slowing down the breath and turning your gaze inward, making the in-breath the same length as the exhale. And that gesture alone is sending signals to your body that you're safe. And then physically placing either your hand on your heart or maybe even tapping into your sternum, feeling your heart, having contact with your heart. And continuing with the breathing. And from that space, you're noticing a deeper sense of relaxation. Bring to mind something that you appreciate or something that you're grateful for. And feel that welling up of gratitude and how it expands from your heart and comes all the way up through your head. And just feeling like you're falling in love. Maybe it's compassion for yourself or compassion for someone else. And just holding there and imagining that the energy running from your heart through your mind is now clear, that there's no little bumps, no little snags, nothing but clear energy and love. And that is it. So it can be a matter of 3 breaths, 3 or 5 breaths. It's really important that you're actually touching the heart space, and then also focusing on something that brings you joy, that brings you gratitude, that helps you feel compassion, connection with yourself or something around you.
Beth, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. For those who are with us, did you take time to just do that for yourself, breathing and aligning? And what I love is you were talking about, you said falling in love, and it was bringing the energy up, falling in love. And so of course that brought to mind falling in love with yourself.
Yeah.
And the other phrase I really love, it's one that I've started to make the switch on, is a rising in love. I love
I may have to borrow that one.
a rising in love, for yourself and how powerful you are, and with yourself and with others, and and so
Yeah. I'm so relaxed now after that.
I know. Yeah, that happens to me too sometimes here. Okay, so Beth, I do want to share with everyone where they can connect with you beyond today's conversation. And so your website is ignitedwomen.net. And do you have any further instructions you'd like to share with people that would like to connect with you beyond today's show?
I believe there's a way, I've been kind of playing around with my website, so I hate to say that I'm not sure that there's a way to connect with me. Of course, I'm on Facebook and Instagram under @IgnitedWomen or Beth Nelson /IgnitedWomen. You can find me either way. And a quick little plug is I am thrilled to announce that there is opening for my live retreat happening in the end of July in Central California in the beautiful Redwoods. So there's information. There's a tab on my website called Retreat, and you can get more information there. If this work resonates with you, I guarantee you 3 days in nature in that beautiful space will transform you.
Awesome. So they can go to ignitedwomen.net and find out more and connect with you on Facebook, is what it sounds like. Message you on Facebook?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Well, let's take a quick look at our audience comments. You guys have been fantastic.
Yes.
Helene is saying, thank you all for being here. And that's exactly what I have to say to all of you. So thank you, Helene and Betty and Roberta and Matthew. And I know we had Alina here. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Roberta is saying that was beautiful. A rising in love. Yes. So beautiful.
Nice.
I love it. Beth, do you have any final words or anything extra you wanted to share that we didn't touch on before we head off?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
I feel very complete and very honored to be the live guest on your show. I think it was a raving success myself. So I hope others do as well.
I think it was fantastic. Before we go, I must remind everyone that you have an open invitation to join the Let Your Light Shine movement. And that link is up on the screen here. It is a bit.ly link, bit.ly/Let Your Light Shine movement. Joining the movement is a fantastic way to empower yourself. I've heard from people who, as soon as they heard about the movement, it lit them up, and yet they realized, oh my goodness, that's something for me to move into simply for themselves. And I assure you that every time you choose to claim your own power and align with who you authentically are and say, yes, I do shine. I am amazing. A rising in love for who you authentically are. As you are a massive source of empowerment for others. And that is what the Let Your Light Shine movement is all about. So you have an open invitation. Would love to see you join. And Beth, thank you so much for being here today.
My honor and pleasure. Thank you.
I loved our conversation, and thank you to everyone who was with us. See a couple of new comments here. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. We're going to close out with a little outro. So here we go. Beth, stay right there.